Welcome to Space Marine 2. So for the past week, I've had access to Space Marine 2, a game a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time, but people are cautiously optimistic, and rightly so these days. So I thought I'd give you my opinions on it with the first 20 or so hours I've played, to maybe help you make a decision on whether you want to spend money on it or not. And as advertised, this will be as spoiler-free as I can make it. I'm only going to show you footage from the very first campaign level, the very first co-op level, and a tiny little bit of the prologue, but that's it. And just to be clear, this is not a sponsored video. Now, my experience with the campaign so far, I've played about 6 or 7 missions on the hardest difficulty, Angel of Death, and the first thing that'll strike you with this game, as you can see, is the visuals. It looks absolutely wunderbar. If you've ever wanted to get as close to you possibly can as feeling like you're on a 40k battlefield, I think this game is going to do it for you. Lots of stunning landscapes and visuals and architecture and the whole atmosphere of everything, fighting alongside the Imperial Guard, the music, the audio, it all creates a fantastic 40k experience. And yeah, that just creates some great immersion all round. The game's also not afraid to get a bit grimdark and dirty as well, with bloody scenes like this. It's not shying away from the horrors of perpetual war. Now, the game is made by the same people who made the World War Z game, based on the World War Z movie, and I guess book, where there's shit tons of zombies and they all climb each other to get up walls and stuff like that. Well, that mechanic is in this game, and it really works well with the Tyranids. When you see this many Tyranids coming at you, you think it's just a cool little kind of cinematic thing, and then you realize, oh, you've actually got to fight all of those. It just creates these great visuals and the sense of utter doom that all these Tyranids are coming just for you. So overall, game presentation, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And if you're wondering about performance, it's been fine for me on a 3080 using DLSS. I can get like 100 frames plus on 1440p with some top settings, so no complaints from me on a high-end PC anyway. Now, as for the levels, it's very straightforward and simple and linear, to be honest. Kind of like the first game, you pretty much have a straight path through the levels with a tiny little bit of exploration here and there just to find weapons and consumables. And you move through the level doing whatever you need to be doing. It's mostly the same thing through every level, right? Just fighting Tyranids. Occasionally there's little kind of set pieces where you do something a little bit different than the norm, and that breaks up levels nicely. But I do think overall it is playing it a little bit too safe. I would have liked to see them push the boat out a little bit more with some more unique experiences. For example, and spoiler warning here, just very minor spoiler, but a little spoiler all the same. Little warning, skip ahead about 20 seconds if you don't want to hear. There's a cutscene where a rhino tank rolls up and he's like, hey, you want to ride? I thought, oh sweet, there's going to be a little scene where I sit on top of rhino tank and blast some stuff as we go. But no, the next shot is just the rhino tank arriving at its destination. So stuff like that was a little bit disappointing. I was hoping to see just some more of those really cool 40k kind of moments. I was also hoping to see maybe a kind of decisions and consequences system where, as the leader of the squad, you get to choose an option, A or B, and it'll maybe take you a different path through the level, or it'll take you to a different mission altogether than if you chose the other option and stuff like that. And maybe to even have multiple endings depending on your decisions. That would have been great. Although, as I say, I haven't finished the campaign yet, so who knows, maybe there is, but I'm going to guess not. It seems to be a pretty linear, straightforward story, just like the first game. And that's not necessarily bad, it's just a missed opportunity, I feel like, given how long this game's probably been in development. I'm surprised they didn't do something more intricate like that, especially as apparently the campaign is only like 10 or 15 hours long, depending on how you play and what difficulty, I guess. So it would have added some real replayability if they had done that. And as for the plot and the story of the game, it's actually been pretty decent. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest. I thought it was going to be pretty cheesy or predictable, and some of it is. There's some kind of conveniences, but overall it's been decent. I don't want to say too much because spoilers, but yeah, it's quite good. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. There's some tension between the good guys and stuff, so yeah, it's pretty decent. And what about the combat then? The main part of the game, as you can see, it's a bit of a crazy mess at times, especially on this difficulty. Overall, it's very similar to the first game with some nice little improvements. It works pretty well overall once you get used to it. It did take me a few hours to actually feel like I was in control of my character because there is a bit of clunkiness there and it can sometimes feel unresponsive. Like when things jump at you, you might see a blue circle pop up, which means you need to press your counter button to counter this enemy. So you press it and then sometimes nothing happens, but it's because you're in the middle of an attack animation or the end of an attack animation and it stops you being able to counter, and it feels really annoying because you did actually press the button in time, but it just didn't work. So it does feel a bit clunkos at times and it can be frustrating, but once you get used to it, you learn to be a little more patient, to try and plan your attacks a little bit better in case one of those blue circles pops up. And those blue circles are pretty important, whether the attack comes from a Hormagaunt or one of the warriors, because when you get a successful counter or an execution, it refills your armor, and your armor does regen naturally out of combat, but during combat, the only way to get it back up is by getting these executions and counters. And you see in the top left, my health bar is obviously the red bar, and my armor is those two little bars underneath. You'll see it come up in a second. There you go. I've just got some armor back from the execution. That's going to help me stay alive because it is pretty rough in this difficulty. I feel like the worst part about it on this Angel of Death difficulty is the fact that you seem to be the sole target of all of the ranged units in the area. Like, they don't really shoot at your two AI companions very much. And so that can get a little annoying when you're just trying to enjoy the melee fight and you're trying to survive all the Hormagaunts and warriors. But your health is just being whittled away by all the ranged units that are solely focusing on you and are incredibly accurate. So it's just a little annoying, but I guess that's part of the hardest difficulty. If I had any friends, I'd play with 2 human players and maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But overall, I think the combat is good. Like I say, just takes some getting used to. One other small campaign annoyance is the sheer amount of buttons in the game, which you have to hold your key to actually press. It's just one of these small things that I just find annoying because there's so fucking many of them. If I could just press the button to open them, it wouldn't be so bad, but I gotta hold it, and for some reason I find that annoying. Also, I hope you love elevators with buttons on, because there's a lot of elevators as well, for whatever reason. I don't know if they're just to create an opportunity for some dialogue, or as a loading screen, or if they're just to waste some time to make the campaign seem longer than it is. But yeah, I hope you like buttons and elevators, because you'll be getting a lot of them. As for the weapons, there's a whole bunch of them, plenty of the old classics from Space Marine 1, as well as a bunch of new ones. This is cool, they all feel nice. Some of them do feel maybe a little bit too similar to each other. There are some heavy weapons, like so, the heavy bolter that you might find around that you can use. There is a nice bit of recoil on the guns as well, so they're not all lasers that you can just beam stuff down with, so that's nice and appropriate. One thing that is a bit weird with the weapons, though, is how often it seems to want you to change weapon, because pretty much around every corner there is a new weapon for you to change to if you want to, and some of them are a little bit too conveniently placed, like it's kind of hand-holdy. For example, say there's a corner you're about to go round. Just before you go around that corner, there's the Stalker bolt gun, which is kind of like a sniper rifle DMR type bolt gun, good long range, right? So you pick that up and then go around the corner and oh, there's an enemy miles away that's sniping you that you need to snipe. And oh, how perfect. You just got the weapon that's perfect for the job. It's just like a little too convenient, you know? And then you go around the next corner past the sniper and then it gives you a bolt gun carbine, which is like an SMG, really fast firing. And oh, look, you're going to face loads of little Hormagaunts. So that weapon's perfect for taking them out. So yeah, you get the idea. I just don't like being babied in that way. Like, if there's a sniper and I don't have a sniper rifle, I'll figure out a way to deal with it. I don't need you to give me a sniper rifle to fight back, you know? And again, it's a minor grievance. I can obviously ignore all the other weapons on the floor if I want to, so it's not a huge deal, but still a little bit weird in my eyes. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably more Space Marine to just hold on to one weapon and use it rather than switching all the time. I don't know. So overall, from what I've played of the campaign so far, it's decent. It's going to feel very similar to Space Marine 1, just obviously with much better presentation and against the Tyrannies. It's a little bit disappointing they haven't tried to do more with it, and it is so similar to Space Marine 1, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? We've seen games ruin themselves when they change too much between games. Dawn of War. But I think that could have maybe pushed this from a great game to an incredible game if they had gone a little bit further. So that's the campaign side of the game. Only one of 3 parts. Another part is the Eternal War, which is the PvP mode, right? The 8v8 versus kind of mode. I haven't been able to play this yet. Every time I search, I can never find anybody because it's only content creators and press with access to this at the moment. So I have no comments on that, but the real star of the show here is the Operations mode. This is basically the co-op mode that is actually kind of its own mini campaign. And what's nice is that it's actually tied into the main campaign. So in the campaign as Titus, you'll be commanding a 6-man team. But obviously you only play with 3 men, and the other 3 men go off and do something else. That something else is what you're doing in these co-op missions, all in aid of the same objectives as Titus. So it's all linked in really nicely, but playing in this mode is where the progression and some of the more fun parts of the game come into play. So here you have your 6 classes: Tactical Assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper, and Heavy. These are all separate classes that you level individually. See, my Bulwark's level 2, my Sniper's level 2, my Heavy's level 1, and he is very flamboyantly dressed. He's got bull tassels. Don't worry, one day you'll get bull tassels too. And all these different classes have their own unique ability to use and their own unique weapon sets. So the tactical guy, he can get a lot of different weapons, whereas others are somewhat limited. There is weapon progression as well, so the more you use a weapon, the better and stronger it'll get, which you're going to need for the higher difficulties. And as you can see, as your weapons get stronger, they also start to look cooler and cooler. Some of these top ones are especially tasty. So yeah, some progression there, something to work towards, using the specific weapons you like to make them better, rather than just everything leveling up together. There is perk trees as well. Again, once you level up, you start to get these perk skill points you can use. I'm going to assume you can only select certain ones of these at a time. As you can see, I haven't quite got far enough to see what happens when I get more than one in a column, but I'm going to guess you select which one you want, and you can kind of create builds that way to fit your playstyle, which is really very nice. And all this progression is in aid of moving up the difficulties. As you can see, minimal, recommended level 1, recommended level 5. As you get stronger, you're going to be able to take on these difficulties. If you try to do maybe the 3rd difficulty at level 1, you're just going to get absolutely shat on. And then, of course, there's the real star of the show here, the ability to edit your armor and look like your favorite Space Marine chapter, or however the hell you wish. So you have these armor sets which you unlock as you get stronger, which just add more stuff to you visually, so you just look a bit cooler, as you can see. And then there's the Astartes chapters, which is where you can look like all your favorite boys. I've only got the Iron Hands and Black Templars unlocked at the moment, just because I like black and grey stuff. But there's your Dark Angels, your Salamanders, your Space Wolves, all your favorite boys, so you can roleplay to your heart's content. And there's a load here. You scroll down, you see all these, there's loads, so hopefully everyone will have their chapter available. And it's all unlocked by this heraldry system, where you click on the one you want, it'll tell you all the things you need to unlock it, to be able to use it. You'll have to buy it with this little currency up here in the top right. You can see I got 40 of it. The first part of most of these cost 30, so I could buy this now and then it unlocks the next bit, and once you got them all, you get the armor colors and everything. And the currency is acquired by simply playing the game, or there's some little trials you can do and stuff like that. And then you can even create custom armor sets as well, so you can tailor it how you like, changing this and that, logos, colors, ball tassels, whatever. You can even make individual body parts a certain color, so if you want to create your own chapter, the orange leg boys, you have the freedom to do that. All you need to do is unlock the colors and such. So yeah, this stuff is very cool. I know this is what a lot of Warhammer fans like in their Warhammer games, the ability to paint stuff and change the colors up, because obviously wars are won by whoever looks the fucking coolest, although I've gone a little bit Irish here, that's not my intention. And as well, in the Eternal War PvP mode, you do have the Chaos versions of all your armor sets as well, which if you're playing as the bad guy on the Chaos team, you are going to need to use these. Same with the weapons as well. All looks very cool though, but a lot of fun to be had with the customization. But playing the co-op missions, it feels just like playing the campaign missions. They're not really any different, other than you're playing as a class that has a certain ability that can be used to synergize with your teammates better. Like the Heavy has a shield that can be very useful. The Vanguard I'm playing as here has the grapple hook, which as you can see, allows me to close the distance on enemies very quickly. That's really fun. So with the different abilities and different weapons and different skill points to use and the different synergies and team compositions, the depth of the game is really going to be in this co-op mode, where you can customize all this stuff. And this is where the game does add some real replayability. Like I said, the campaign, I can only see myself playing it through once, to be honest, whereas this, even though I'm playing the same level through a bunch of times, I am enjoying it because I'm getting that progression from getting things done. And hopefully there's a lot of room for them to expand this in the future with DLC and stuff. So yeah, seems pretty good overall. As I say, these are my first impressions. I've only been playing with bots. I have played with a few randoms when I've done these missions, but no working together or synergizing or anything like that. But these are all the first difficulty, to be honest, so you don't really probably need to. Haven't tried the higher difficulties, haven't got that far with the character yet. But yeah, good fun to be had here. Lots of replayability because you can play as the different classes that offer you a different experience as well. So yeah, co-op mode I think is really the star of the show. And overall, in conclusion, is Space Marine 2 worth the money? Yes, potentially, depending on what you want to play. If all you want to do is play the campaign through and that's it, it's probably not worth the money because the campaign isn't that long. You might want to wait for a sale, unless of course you really want to play it because you've been waiting 12 years. I think you will find a decent campaign there anyway. If you're planning to play the co-op mode as well though, which why wouldn't you, then it is going to feel more worth your money, I think. Although it still is a very expensive game regardless. But yeah, I don't think you'll feel hard done by if you play the co-op mode as well, because the replayability is there. And even more so if you do play the PvP mode as well, which I know probably won't appeal to everybody, but if you are going to play that, you've got even more game there as well. I'm probably going to stream some of that maybe on Saturdays, so keep an eye out for that if you want to get shot in the face by me. But yeah, overall, Space Marine 2, pretty damn good, and I think most people, if you do decide to purchase the game, you won't be disappointed. But like I say, I haven't played it all yet, so we'll see how it goes. If you do decide you want to buy the game and you want to save a little money on it and you want to support this channel, you can buy it from Games Planet. Links below. If you buy it from there, I get a small cut. Helps me out. They're a legit retailer as well, so no funny business going on there. They work with publishers to get their keys. It's a Steam key. And if you use the promo code Emperor5, you can get up to 15% off, so that's a nice little saving. So check that out if you're interested. Thanks to anyone who does. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the future. Thanks to all the patrons who support this channel, and I will see you in the future again. Bye.